Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's John KB, and this is our companion video that we put out just about every day here. You know, in the mornings on the John Campea Show, in the afternoons on Open Mic, we always take live questions, but quite often we don't have time to get to all the live questions, so we take up all those questions we didn't have time to get to live and put them here in our companion video. So let's get caught up on those questions right now. And the first thing comes to us from Chris Warden, who writes, "What the F is going on in New York with UFC 223? A huge brawl breaks out between Team McGregor and Team Khabib. A bus window gets smashed and Conor gets arrested." No, it wasn't a brawl. It was just Conor with a bunch of morons going down, injuring people, throwing things through a guy, throwing something through the window on a bus. The glass cut up a guy's face, hospitalized him. Now he's out of his fight at UFC. It upset a lot of people. There were women on the buses as well. Conor McGregor, I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. You guys know I've been a big fan of his. I've been cheering him on. I love watching Conor McGregor. I'm done. I don't want him in the UFC anymore. I want him kicked out. He's a disgrace to the sport. He has no business. I hope every single penny that he earned with that Mayweather circus fight that never should have happened in the first place, I hope he gets sued for every single penny. Because there's going to be multiple lawsuits against him now, and I hope he loses everything. I hope he loses everything and is completely ruined. I hope he's ruined. What he did. He could have killed somebody. That dude who got his face all cut out, he could have killed that guy. I'm done. I'm done with Conor McGregor. I never want to see the guy again. Never want to see him. Never want to hear from him again. Not that he ever called me. I don't want to hear from him again, as if he was on the phone with me every day. No, I never want to see anything with him ever again. Flick Talk writes, "Resistance fleet is gone. Think we'll see some new ship flavor in episode 9. No more X-Wing / OT designs, etc. Completely new ship designs." Nah, because the X-Wing are kind of a stock design in the universe. So I think we'll still see, we'll definitely, every movie sees some new ship flavor. Every movie does in Star Wars, for sure. So I have no doubt we'll see some new designs. Maybe even a new style of X-Wing, just like the X-Wing in The Force Awakens was a different style of X-Wing than what we saw in the original trilogy. But I still think we're going to see those classic ships back. I think they won't feel like Star Wars if we don't. Andrew Lee writes, "Best Russell Crowe performance? I think The Insider. I'm hard-pressed to disagree with you." Now, he won his Academy Award for Gladiator, and rightfully so. But I think I'm going to go with you on that. I'm going to go with The Insider. The Insider is, when you act in a movie with Al Pacino and you act circles around him, you've done something good. And that was Russell Crowe in that movie. And you're right. I think that's probably his best performance. Laurie Scott writes, "Favorite romance while you were sleeping?" See, that's the thing. The question came up on the show the other day. Favorite romance movie. And I don't know that I would count I don't know that I would count While You Were Sleeping as a romance movie. It's really more a romantic comedy. It's a rom-com. But I don't know, maybe you guys were thinking that rom-coms count. And if rom-coms count, that's a perfectly good valid one. But to think of a straight up, and I had a hard time coming up with some straight up romance movies other than say The Notebook. It's tough to come up with straight up romance movies. But if you want to include rom-coms, that's a totally valid selection. Dimsum05 writes, "Setting up Infinity War as the second coming is a huge mistake, and you are setting yourself up for massive disappointment, in my opinion." Well, and that's great. You can say that all you want. First of all, no one is setting up Infinity War as the second coming. Everybody's just really excited about it. I have said every time we talk about Infinity War, I say, understand, this movie could suck. I have my concerns about it. I'm concerned if that's going to feel convoluted. I'm concerned it's going to feel overly populated with far too many characters. I have some concerns. It could also be amazing, and I think it's going to be a great time. I just think people are excited because they're looking forward to a great time. No one's saying it's going to be the greatest movie since The Godfather. And you can find some people on the planet that maybe think that, but generally speaking, no one's saying that it's going to be the greatest movie ever. Just everybody's excited for it. So, that's great. You can say that, but you're just doing the exact same thing except opposite by saying that. So, you have no idea. You haven't seen the movie Dim Sum. You've never seen it. You have no idea. It could be the greatest thing ever made. I am saying it could be piece of garbage. I mean, whatever. But nobody is saying it's going to be the second coming. Like that's you and some other people making up hyperbole, but that's not what's going on. You're just seeing a lot of excitement for it. And there's nothing wrong with excitement. I mean, excitement's great. Okay, let's see. Matthew Ware writes, open with a worm's eye view of the Hela-Thor encounter. After they go through the Bifrost, a frog jumps onto a sliver of the hammer and turns into the Frog of Thunder. Would you watch that movie? No, Matthew, I would not watch that movie, nor would anybody, but very creative imagination. I can't think of a good username writes, I just found out Ant-Man and the Wasp got poor audience test screening. Thoughts? Listen to me. Every time you see a report that early test screenings is bullshit, it's fake, it's not true, do not listen to it, do not believe it. Anybody who does get to go to those advanced test screenings, sign NDAs out the ass, they are not speaking to anybody. All right, do not believe it. I mean, I heard that same BS rumor. It's like, oh, okay, who's saying it? And when you trace it back, it's some like Brazilian website that no one's ever heard of is saying that. Then these other sites pick up on that and going, early test screenings for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. Don't believe it. It doesn't matter if it comes out and say, early test screenings say Ant-Man and the Wasp got standing ovations. Bullshit. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't waste your time. Do not reward these rumor mills and these sites for running those stories. Don't reward them by talking about them. They're bullshit. Don't listen to them. The Ant-Man and the Wasp could totally suck. Could be the greatest film ever. Doesn't matter. Whatever you say, early test screenings go, okay, just let me stop you right there. Whatever you're about to say isn't true. I mean, maybe you were told that, but whoever told it to you was lying to you. All right, so let's just move on past that. Let's see. Lori Scott writes, do you think Black Panther will be the first movie to open in Saudi Arabia just because it's popular, or also because it has a modern country led by a powerful monarch? No, it's just the hottest movie in the world right now. Like, when you're lifting the band after 3 decades of movie theaters in that country, you're going to lead off with the most popular movie in the world. And that's, until Infinity War opens, that's Black Panther. That's the movie the whole world's talking about. That's available to play in theaters right now. So no, I don't think it has anything to do. I mean, it's an interesting observation about the shared circumstances, with a monarchy and all that kind of stuff. But I really don't think that has anything to do with it at all. I think it's just all about, we're opening the first movie theater in over 3 decades, and we're coming out with the most popular movie in the world right now. And that's Black Panther. So I think really that's all there is to that, Lori. All right. Seymour's mother writes, what's getting more of the hype right now, McGregor or LA's earthquake? By the way, it was a dolly McGregor through the bus viciously. It looked like one of those bike racks, but maybe it was a dolly. Irrelevant. The guy should go to jail for it. Yeah, I noticed I was in my apartment when the earthquake was happening, but it was so subtle. For a second, I had to think, okay, now, because sometimes if a big, heavy truck goes barreling down the road, you'll feel the building shake a little bit. So at first, I wasn't sure if it was just that. I waited, and then you felt it again. So, okay, that's a little earthquake. I've gotten pretty used to them now. I mean, they're so minor, knock on wood. They've been so minor since I've been here. Let's see. Adam Griffin writes, over under 65% Indy dies in Indiana Jones 5. I'll take the over on that. Now, I'm not willing to say 100%, but considering that, according to Steven Spielberg, this is pretty much most likely going to be Indiana Jones's final movie, they may have him go out. Now, they may also just want him to retire. Like, maybe Indy gets through this movie and is like, all right, kid, I'm done, and takes the hat off, kicks back, and relaxes. Maybe that's how it ends, and he has his happily ever after. But I'm going to take the over on 65 that they end it with a heroic death of Indiana Jones. Although, we just saw one iconic Harrison Ford character die in Han Solo in The Force Awakens. I don't know that I want to see. I think I would rather them just end with him going off in the sunset and saying, and I live the rest of my days happily ever after. I mean, I think I probably would rather that as a fan. But I do think they're going to seriously consider knocking him off, and so I'll take the over on 65%. KHK Productions write, Is it possible that Avengers 4 could be titled The New Avengers, with Fury officially putting together a second team led by Captain Marvel to combat Thanos? Would that constitute a spoiler title? Well, I mean, it's possible. That's a possibility. And yes, I do think if the name of Avengers 4 was The New Avengers, that would constitute a spoiler title for sure. I don't think that's the direction they're going at all, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. Again, I don't think that's what they're doing. I don't put a lot of stock in that myself, but it is possible, and you are right. That would constitute a spoiler if they announced right now that the name of Avengers 4 was The New Avengers. That's pretty much a big spoiler for what's going to happen in 3. Again, I don't think that's what they're doing, but it is totally possible. It's a good theory, man. George Rodriguez writes, Alden said Han Solo will get his heart broken by the galaxy. If he makes us all fall in love with Han all over again, can it make us hate Kylo even more? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it could. And you know what? That's what I really want. I want Alden Ehrenreich. I don't want him to do a Harrison Ford impersonation. I don't want him to feel like he just has to come out and do his best Harrison Ford. Give us his incarnation of Han Solo. Just like Chris Pine didn't come out and give us his best William Shatner impersonation. He gave us his own interpretation of Kirk, and it worked great. Do I prefer the original Kirk? Sure I do. But Chris Pine gave us a great Kirk. And he did it on his own terms. And that's what I'm looking for Alden Ehrenreich to do. Give us his own Solo. Yes, you stay consistent with the character, but don't feel like you have to act like Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm looking at. And if he can do that and really get us engaged with and attached to and fall in love with Han Solo all over again, that would be quite a triumph. And it would probably make us even madder at Kylo Ren. Yes, at that point. Let's see. Can't think of a good username writes, do you think they left it too late to release the Avatar sequel? It should have come out 5 years ago. I've talked about this several times. When you say too late, that almost implies that, oh, it's going to fail now. It's too late. The next Avatar 2 is not going to fail. Avatar 2 is going to do quite well at the box office. So is it too late? No, it's not too late. But just because it's not too late doesn't mean it's not late. It's late. Not too late, but it's late. And had an Avatar 2 come out 5 years ago, I think it would have done better than it will now. I do think they've waited, longer than they should have. But have they waited too long, as in now the film can't succeed? No, that's not true at all. The film will succeed. It's not going to reach the first Avatar levels or anything like that, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be successful. It's going to be successful. Have they waited? So have they waited longer than they should have? Yes. Have they waited too long? No. The movie will be fine. They'll do fine. Let's see. But I agree with you. It should have come out 5 years ago or more. Adamus95 writes, in case anybody from Legendary is watching, here's a hint. Don't put the whole final battle in your trailers and TV spots, Pacific Rim 2. Yeah, here's the thing to me. I don't mind that they put the whole final battle in the trailer. You do what you need to do to sell the movie. So that's fine. What bothers me was that there was so little giant robots fighting giant monsters in this movie that it all could fit into the trailer. That's the part that bothers me. It doesn't bother me so much that they put the whole final battle in the trailer. Hey, you know what? You're selling your movie. That's fine. Didn't spoil anything for me. Fine. You're trying to sell your movie. What bothered me was that there was so little giant monster versus giant robot action that you could fit the entire thing into the trailer. That's the part that bothers me. And look, I don't hide this. It bothered me. The film disappointed me. I didn't hate it. I didn't think the movie was garbage, but it wasn't good. And I walked out pretty disappointed. It was a lot of missed opportunities. It should have been a much better film than it was. Again, not horrible, not garbage, but not good. I couldn't recommend it. And that was one of the big reasons why. All right. Next up comes to us from Ziho St. Lee, who writes, hey, John, this is my first super chat. I just wanted to say I love your channel. Well, thank you so much, Ziho. I appreciate that. That's really, really kind of you to say that. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Luna Comics writes, do you watch Bob's Burgers? I don't. I've seen a couple of episodes because my brother-in-law, Ray, he loves that show. Ray, who does a lot of graphics on my show, he loves that show. So I've seen a few episodes because he's been over here or I've been over at their house and he's had it on. And it looks really cute, but it's just not a show that I watch. But yeah, Ray watches a ton of it. You should ask Ray about it. Ray loves it. I can't think of a good username. Your wife is hot, by the way. Anne is pretty hot. Yes, Anne is pretty hot. There's no denying that. Hold a second. I keep this picture around. Anne is also a big cosplayer. This is one of my favorite cosplays of her, which is it's a cross between Princess Jasmine and Princess Leia, the slave Leia from Return of the Jedi. It's called Slave Jasmine, and I love that outfit on her. It's so creative and cool. I just love the fact that I'm married to a woman who loves cosplay. I'm married. This is the thing. This is how much I've lucked out. I've married this woman with multiple degrees. So like she's super educated, multiple degrees. She's worked, in the time that I've been with her, she's worked for the congresswoman in California as like the political field rep. She's worked for big health organizations. She's now a big person over at Hasbro. And all the while, she plays Dungeons & Dragons. She's in a weekly Dungeons & Dragons group. I'm not even in a weekly Dungeons & Dragons group right now, but she is. She plays Magic the Gathering. She likes mixed martial arts. She loves comic book movies. She reads probably more comics than I do. And she loves cosplay. All of that. And she's hot. So, yep, I'm pretty lucky. I'm a pretty lucky dude. Some people say I'm punching out of my weight class. Lori Scott writes, hey, John, you say no one asked for a Solo movie, but I've wanted one since I read Han Solo at Star's End in 1982. I still have the original hardback. Well, here's the thing. Whenever you hear me or anybody says, everybody likes this. Clearly, they don't mean every single human being. Clearly, there's some people who don't. When you ever hear somebody, even like me, saying, nobody did this, well, somebody did. And I'm sure there are a few people out there that are like that. But I think, when I say, like, no one was asking for a Han Solo movie, I'm speaking in hyperbole, sure. Just the majority of Star Wars fans out there, myself included, weren't really like going, please give us a standalone Solo movie. And I think you can see that out there. Now, hopefully the movie can deliver. I'm hearing good things from the studio. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, we'll just see how it turns out. It is well documented how much drama has gone on around this movie. Let's see if they can bring it home and make it work. Ron Howard being on board certainly is going to help. All right. Oburn writes, speaking of Solo, the costume design on Solo is impressing me, and I don't usually notice it. Have you seen any of it? Oh, yeah, I think the costume design has looked great. As a matter of fact, I remember I was with a buddy of mine watching a different movie. The Solo trailer came on. I remember us turning to each other and saying, the costume design is really good. It feels very real, but very alien at the same time. I agree with you, Oberyn. I think they've done a bang-up job with it. I'm really curious to see the rest of the film and see how it kind of feels. The number Thor writes, with all the Sith Masters having apprentices in movies, with Maul in 1, Dooku in 2 and 3, Anakin Vader in 3, 4, 5, 6, and Kylo in 7, 8. So with Kylo being the big bad in 9, will he have an apprentice for Rey to fight? For Rey to fight too? I don't think so. Because if I understand them right, they don't even consider themselves Sith. So I don't know that Kylo has a rule of 2. I think we are going to see the Knights of Ren. That I do believe we're going to see. But will he have one standout apprentice? I don't think so, because Rey can already go toe-to-toe with Kylo. It's not like she's beginning her hero's journey and has to build up to the big bad guy, in this case Kylo Ren. She's already gone toe-to-toe with Kylo. So I don't think we're going to see an acolyte of his as she has to go through. I think there will be the Knights of Ren, and she's going to have to go through, the legions of the Knights of Ren, however many there are, 4, 5, 6, 26, 56, I don't know. They never were really specific about that. But one significant apprentice, I don't think so. It's possible, but I don't think that's the way they're going to go. All right, next up. Luna Comics writes, whatever happened to that Five Nights at Freddy's movie? You talked about it since the AMC days. Yeah, it's coming. They first announced Five Nights at Freddy's in 2015, 95. The game wasn't even around yet. In 2015. They've developed it. And so, but just as early as February, just a few months ago, they announced that Chris Columbus is now attached to be the director and I believe also the writer of the film. And it's being produced by Blumhouse, who's been like killing it lately. Blumhouse has been like crushing it lately. And we got Chris Columbus, who of course did, he directed Mrs. Doubtfire. He directed a couple of the Harry Potter films. He's written a bunch of really good stuff as well. So that's something to be excited about. So yeah, I mean, that was just announced a couple of months ago. So everything's moving full steam ahead on the Five Nights at Freddy's thing. We should probably hear a little bit more in the next 4 or 5 months, I would suspect at that point. Dennis Riez writes, like Anthony R., I too pre-ordered Spider-Man for PS4 with the statue. Super excited because it's coming out on my birthday. Yeah, so the other day, Anthony R., a regular commenter here on the show, he mentioned that he advanced ordered the Spider-Man, and Gentle Giant, this is the part that excited me, that by pre-ordering it, you get this Gentle Giant exclusive Spider-Man statue, which has me excited. I mean, I know that's weird, but that's the part that kind of excites me. And I was really curious about that. And some people have been trying to send me some outlines and figures of what it's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, I've got a couple people now telling me they're really excited for this game. Maybe it's a game I should check out too. But anyway, thanks for letting me know about that, Dennis. All right, next up, Ricardo Ramirez writes, have you ever seen the film A Bronx Tale, directed by Robert De Niro? What are your thoughts on the film? It's in my top 10 movies of all time. It's not in my top 10 of movies of all time, but it's a good film. Here's an interesting thing. Everybody remembers it because Robert De Niro's in it and he directed it. A lot of people forget that I always mispronounce his last name, Chaz Palminteri, who also stars in it with Robert De Niro. He wrote it. So you had Chaz Palminteri wrote the damn thing, Robert De Niro directing it, and oh, by the way, they got Joe Pesci in there with them too. It's a really nice movie. I've always been kind of surprised that De Niro didn't do more directing. But, I don't know, maybe he just didn't think it was his thing. But yeah, solid movie, really good movie. Nowhere near my top 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, but a really good movie to me that I quite enjoyed. More people should check it out. Old Flicks Joe writes, Siamese cats would change your mind about cats. No, they would not. No, it's funny. I cannot believe how much shit I took. Because here's the thing. So the other day, somebody writes into me and says, oh, you know what? I can't handle it when cats die in movies. And I kind of half jokingly went off on this thing. It's like, well, first of all, I can relate because I have a hard time dealing with it when dogs die in movies. And I think dogs are 55,000 times better than cats. And then I kind of joked about how in Lady in the Water, The Shape of Water, Lady in the Water. When in The Shape of Water, there's a scene where the monster grabs the cat and eats the cat. And I love that scene. But me saying I love that scene, I got an email from somebody and like 1 or 2 tweets of people saying they were totally offended that I got a kick out of that scene. And I'm like, I'm sorry. If you're going to get offended because I like something in a movie, then don't talk to people about movies. But I mean, at the same time, I could totally relate because like when dogs die, like in John Wick, when the dog dies, I can understand your emotional distress, but it's a movie. So I can say, oh man, I really feel a lot of pain when the dog dies, but I can like say it's a great scene in a movie when a dog dies. And I can say I love a certain scene in a movie when a cat dies. I'm not trying to attack you personally or anything like that, but I am not a cat person. I'm not. I am a dog person. But again, I can relate on that level because I find it very difficult to see dogs die in movies. But no, Siamese cats would not change my mind about cats. I grew up with cats. I always had my family dogs, but we always had one family cat. For a long time, my family cat was Luke Skywalker. Then we had a family cat named Mimi. And then for the past like 7 or 8 years, my family cat had Sarah that I, just passed away not too long ago. So we've always had cats and I appreciate those cats, but I'm not a cat person. So no, Siamese cats would not make me that. And I mean, no offense to anybody out there who are cat people, but I'm just not one of you. That's all. Trevor Riches writes, hey, John, have you ever seen the movie The Saratov Approach about the 2 Mormon missionaries kidnapped and held for ransom in Saratov, Russia? Fantastic movie, deserves more recognition. I'll be honest with you, Trevor, I've never even heard of it. Yeah, I've never even heard of the movie. So I can't even give you a third-hand perspective of it. I've never heard of it, never seen a trailer for it, never knew of its existence. But that's the great thing about these shows, man, is that you can name drop these movies and maybe people haven't heard of, and now it goes on their radar. So I'm glad you were able to bring that up. But no, I've never even heard of the film, to be honest with you. That's interesting. All right. Michael Croson, who writes, best fight in the MCU. Mine is Cap versus Winter Soldier. It's got to be the airport scene. Got to be the airport scene. Love that scene. And then my next favorite fight in the MCU is probably in the same movie, which is Cap versus Iron Man. For a little while, it's Cap and Winter Soldier versus Iron Man, but it comes down to Cap versus Iron Man. Love those fights, the fight scenes in that movie. But you're right, Cap versus Winter Soldier was really great. There's a couple of fights, or that opening fight in Doctor Strange with the Ancient One, taking on all the bad guys at once and just kicking their asses, and they finally run away from her. That's a great fight too. There are many great fights, but for me, it's the airport fight. I mean, it's got to start. The airport fight and the fight between Superman in Man of Steel versus, why am I forgetting the two characters' names? They're General Zod's lackeys, the girl and the guy. But in Man of Steel, when they have that fight, oh my God, I love that fight. I love that fight so much. Anyway, so it's between those two. Probably give the edge to the airport fight, but it's pretty close. Let's see. Justin Ward says, first AMC in Saudi Arabia further supports the idea that theaters are here to stay, despite home streaming. Theaters are a globally sound commodity. It's generally speaking, yes, because you guys know how I feel about this. The movie-going experience is the best. I don't care how good your home theater system is. I don't care how good my home theater system is. Nothing beats watching it in a theater. Nothing beats watching a movie in a theater. The going out, the event feel of it, you're surrounded by other people, and it's just nothing beats it. I can honestly say this. I will tell you this right now. If I had the choice to watch Avengers Infinity War right now, here at home, or wait till I could watch it in a theater packed full of people, I'm waiting. I want to watch Avengers Infinity War when I am surrounded by other people buzzing and hopping and screaming and laughing and shocking and whatever else. That's what I want. And I can honestly tell you right now, if my doorbell rang, I went to it and there's Kevin Feige with a big bag of Doritos and a copy of Infinity War, said, hey John, let's watch the shit out of this. I'll take the bag of Doritos from his hand and say, Kevin, I'll see you on the 27th, and close the door in his face. That's what I would do because I want to see that movie with the audience. Nothing beats it. So, and that's that. You're right. The whole opening is the fact that it's such a big deal. You know, a new theater chains, and like way more are going to be opening in Saudi Arabia now. It's going to become one of the 10 biggest markets in the world. Yeah, but it's difficult to say ever. You know, or to say here to stay. Who knows? Things could change drastically in 5 years. I think the way things are now, yeah, they would stay. Theaters would be here to stay. But more things evolve, more things change. Maybe they are here to stay, but maybe not. It's difficult to say one way or the other. Let's see. Aram writes, Holloway is out. I know, too bad, right? Anthony Pettis replaces thoughts. So first Khabib was supposed to fight Ferguson. Then Khabib was supposed to fight Holloway, and now Holloway, for those of you who didn't heard, Max Holloway has been deemed by the medical examiner as being unfit to compete. So he's out. Now they're saying maybe Anthony Pettis, he will destroy Pettis. Pettis has not done well the last few years. I mean, and Pettis has a hard time against even half-decent wrestlers. Against a guy like Khabib, Khabib's going to maul him. It would be a terrible fight. It would be a terrible fight. And I like Anthony Pettis. Showtime, man. But yeah, he would just get his ass handed to him. Alan Gonzalez writes, John, if you like Rush, you are going to like Dream Theater. I don't even know what Dream Theater is. Hold on a second. Let me look this up for a second. And of course I like Rush. I'm Canadian. Oh, they're a band. Okay. Never heard of them. I'm going to save this page and I'm going to come back and listen to Dream Theater if you seem to be recommending them so much. Okay. Corey Jimenez writes, saw 1989 Batman live in concert with the San Francisco Orchestra last night. What an amazing movie-going experience seeing Danny Elfman's score live. Have you seen a movie play with a live orchestra? Yes. A couple of the Star Wars ones. And then I've seen segments of movies played with a live orchestra. It is a great experience. And you know what? I never would have thought of the 1989 Batman, but the score in that is great. Like, even take out the Prince music, the score of that movie is great. So I honestly never would have thought of seeing like a concert like that being with a Batman movie. But now that you mention it, it's like, oh yeah, that would be freaking awesome. So that's awesome. You got to check that out, man. Absolutely wonderful. Let's see. Maybe One Name writes, John, can you send me Peter Jackson's contact info? Okay, so this is a little bit of a throwback. I've told the story before. Just quickly sum it up. One of the strangest experiences I've ever had doing what I do. Back when I was doing the movie blog, I got an email from a guy asking me for Peter Jackson's contact info because he wanted to be in the new Hobbit movies. And I mean, I get hundreds of emails a day, so I didn't respond to it. I mean, clearly. And I get an email from the same guy again 3 days later, all in capital letters, like seriously pissed off, going, John, I asked you for Peter Jackson's contact information 3 days ago, and I still haven't heard from you. What the hell kind of customer service is this? I kid you not. What kind of customer service is this? Oh, I'm sorry. I know, it's the strangest thing. So nice callback, maybe One Name. Devontae Brown writes, thoughts on the first Purge trailer? Looks great. I don't know. I mean, half of the trailer for the first Purge was just snippets from the other Purge movies. The rest of it just looked like a Purge movie. Yeah, so I watched them like, eh. First of all, half of it is just footage from other Purge movies. And then the footage that is from this Purge movie just looks like any other Purge movie. So, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Devontae. It didn't turn my crank. I didn't get all that excited about it. I mean, I wish I could have, but it just really didn't do it for me. NPE94 writes, do you think Avatar 2 will bring resurgence in 3D? No, I think Avatar 2 will do well in 3D, but I don't think it'll increase the appetite for people to see 3D again. You know, when the first Avatar came out, it really boosted and really kickstarted the new era of 3D. But now people have done 3D. And for the most part, people have decided they don't like it and don't buy tickets to go see movies in 3D anymore. I mean, you saw it, for the 8th year in a row, it's gone down. It's the lowest mark in 8 years. I mean, that's just what it is. I don't think that Avatar 2 will make people desire more 3D movies. I think it's going to make a lot of money in 3D. I think people will like the 3D in Avatar 2. But unlike the first Avatar, this one's coming out when people are now getting tired of 3D. So I don't think it'll create a resurgence in it. There might be a blip on the radar because it is Avatar 2, but I don't think it's going to create a long-term resurgence in the format. I don't think it's going to happen. All right. Gareth Tucson writes, Obi-Wan first steps in the first Force Awakens. I thought was a Force thing, not a parentage thing. Rey could remember his voice if she sees him as a ghost. Obi-Wan in 9? I don't think so. I also agree with you. I never really thought of it as a parentage thing, but I remember a lot of people who had the theory that Obi-Wan might have been Rey's grandfather. I remember saying, okay, I could see that. I could see it. I don't think that's what it is, but I could see that. I thought there was some validity to the theory, at least at any rate. But no, I never really saw it as that. I saw it more as a fan service thing. No, I don't think we're going to see a Obi-Wan Force Ghost. She has no connection to Obi-Wan. If anybody, she's going to have a connection to Luke. And that's who she would see the Force Ghost of. So I don't think so. I mean, it would be cool. I didn't think we'd see a Yoda Force Ghost in The Last Jedi either. It would be cool if they did. I just don't think that's what they're going to do. And hopefully I'm wrong. Let's see. Zany Ball writes, how many movies would you say you watch a month? I think it's probably safe to say between 13 and 15, probably. Like between the new movies I see, the repeat viewings I have, and the odd like screener that I have to do and watch. Probably say 12 to 15, 13 to 15, probably is probably a good guess. Luis Roque writes, hey, John, Chris Pratt is in Brazil. They showed 23 minutes of Avengers Infinity War without spoilers, comments are epic, emotional and balanced thoughts. Ignore those. I don't listen to a word of it because we've seen that happen before. The movie's 2.5 hours long. It's easy to cherry pick out 20 minutes that audiences will love and not see it in context and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So while that's good, I'd rather hear people liked it than didn't like it, yes. But honestly, I put no stock in it. It doesn't mean anything. Even if I saw it and I love the 23 minutes, I'm not going to put any stock in that because, all right, but it's out of context with the rest of the movie. It might have just been the best 20 minutes they showed us. You just don't know. So that's cool. And again, I would much rather hear that people loved the 20 minutes they saw than that they hated it. But honestly, I wouldn't put too much stock in that, to be really honest with you. Derek Large writes, I find myself getting more and more excited for Rampage every day. What would you say your excitement level is at right now? Well, I saw Rampage last night. And while there's a review embargo in place right now, they did allow, it was a special Stardust app screening of Rampage last night. So the studio allowed us to do Stardust app reactions. So get Stardust, look in the description of this video, find the link to the Stardust app, download it and use it. But I also I took my Stardust app and I put it up on my YouTube channel as well. So you can see my Stardust reaction, my 30-second reaction to the movie there. I liked it. It's stupid. I mean, oh my God, the movie's so stupid. But they know it's stupid and they embrace it and they kind of go for it. So they go totally ridiculous, balls to the wall ridiculous with their performances, with the dialogue and everything. And you know what? This is one of those movies that was exactly the right route to take. And I ended up enjoying it. I ended up entertained. I was entertained by Rampage. So take that for what you will. Again, I'll do my full review in probably in about a week, and you can go see my 30-second reaction to it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't get likes, writes, do you think there's any chance you'd come around to liking the Iron Man Jr. route, or at least the Iron Spider suit? Nope, never going to come around on that. It's stupid. It's stupid. Don't get me, I can still love the character, and I can love everything else they do. But I will never like the fact that they treated Spider-Man, one of the greatest comic book characters of all time, with so much disrespect. And I know they weren't meaning to it. I know this wasn't their intention. I totally do. That's why I'm not mad at anybody. Right? I'm not mad at anybody. I just don't like it. Because it's basically saying Spider-Man's not cool enough. Spider-Man's not cool. You got to give him an Iron Man suit. That's what'll make him cool. Give him armor and an AI system just like Jarvis to talk to him and give him weapon systems and blah, blah, blah. He's got to be Iron Man to be cool. Otherwise, he's just Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's not cool. No, I'll never come around on that. I will never agree with that. I can still love the movie. I can still love the character. Tom Holland does a great job in it. I love Spider-Man Homecoming, but yes, even though I loved it all, just like I really like The Last Jedi, but you're never going to get me on board with Canto Bight. You're never going to get me on board with that. That was terrible. To me, it was terrible. I love Homecoming. I love Tom Holland. I love almost everything about, but you're never going to get me on board with the fact that they had to make him Iron Man Jr. to make him cool. Never going to come around on that. Tamer Majdiri writes, let's not forget Greta Gerwig in that combo, yo. Oh, okay. So earlier today, somebody asked, now one of the questions on the John Campea show earlier today was, which relative new actor turned director am I looking forward to their next movie most? You got Joel Edgerton, who did a great job directing The Gift. You had Jordan Peele, who did a great job directing Get Out. And then you have John Krasinski, who just delivered us a masterpiece in A Quiet Place. So we talked about those three. Teamer is suggesting, let's not forget Greta Gerwig. You guys know this. I'm one of the very few people on the planet. Everybody loves Lady Bird, except me. I did not like Lady Bird. I was bored to death with Lady Bird. I wanted to walk out of Lady Bird. But that doesn't mean I'm not cognizant of the fact that everybody else loved it. And that's great. If everybody else loved it, that's great. But for me, Greta Gerwig, just based on Lady Bird, does not belong in that conversation. Because I can't have her in that conversation. I hated the movie. I hated the movie she directed. Again, that's just me. And maybe the next movie she directs will blow my socks off if that's great. And you shouldn't just listen to me because everybody else loves it. And I recognize that and I respect that and I appreciate that. But any conversation I'm going to have about relative new directors who are actors and what I'm looking forward to, I can't put Greta Gerwig on that list because I didn't like her movie. So I can't have her on that list. Not yet. Not yet. Patrick Conway writes, Ultron was good in CGI. Main villain that Marvel has done. You're right. Yeah. Ultron. So another issue on the John Campea show earlier was somebody's asking, hey, they've never done a good CGI villain. I said, well, wait a minute now. I thought Davy Jones was a pretty good CGI villain. Gollum was certainly a great CGI villain. Koba in the Planet of the Apes movie was a great CGI villain. So yes, there have been bad CGI villains, absolutely, but there have been some good ones. Ultron's another good example. Yeah, Ultron was a good CGI villain. I liked him. Devontae Brown writes, people forget the Mayweather match hurt Ultron's opening. I don't believe that. I know there are many people who do, and I might be wrong, but I do not buy into that theory. There's always something going on in the world that people could be doing other than going to the movies. There always is. I don't believe for a second that the Mayweather McGregor fight hurt the opening weekend box office too awful much. Or sorry, it was Mayweather Pacquiao, right? It was Mayweather Pacquiao. Anyway, I've never bought into that theory. There's always big things going on in the world. So I've never bought into that. But then again, I could be wrong. There are other people who think it did make a big difference, and I respect their opinions too. That's just the way I see it. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just kind of how I see it. Nick James writes, watched YouTube video of your Gal Gadot rants as Wonder Woman was funny as fuck, though a bit too harsh. But have you changed your opinion? I thought she killed it like Robert Downey Jr. And who's HJ? I see her as the character now. Oh, Hugh Jackman? Oh God, fuck no. No, she's not a good actress. Look, I'm sorry. If you like her, that's wonderful. I'm not going to poo-poo on you for liking her. All film's subjective. That includes acting. And if you like her, that's great. But I'm sorry. Look at every movie she's ever done. She cannot act. She can't act. Just look at every movie she's ever done. And I think a lot of people confuse the fact that she was in a good movie because she was in a good movie. Wonder Woman was very good, but it wasn't good because of her performance. I mean, like, not at all. She did better in the movie than I thought, but she was emotionally stiff. She did nothing to elevate the material. Like, you get a Robert Downey Jr., he elevates the material. You get a Hugh Jackman, he elevates the material. You get a Scarlett Johansson, she elevates the material. They had to put Chris Pine opposite of Gal Gadot to carry that film, performance-wise. She did not ruin it, and I thought she might have ruined the film, and she didn't. But that's a credit to, like, a supremely good director. Like, when you got a director in there who knows how to hide the weaknesses of a particular actress or actor and highlight their strengths, then you can make something work. And Patty Jenkins is a master director, and she did a great job. But look, I don't go around talking about the Gal Gadot situation anymore. I only answer, if you guys want to ask me the question about it, I'll still give it to you. But I'm sorry, she's not a good actress. Like, you cannot point to a single one of her movies and say with a straight face, she had to give a good performance in there. Matter of fact, let me just recount, shall we? Her performance. And by the way, from every indication I've heard, she's a wonderful human being. Like, I've heard nothing but people just sing the praises about how really cool of a person she is. And I got no reason not to believe any of that. But she was absolutely brutal in 999. Like, she was just brutal. Every time she spoke, oh my God, it was just awful. She was terrible in Keeping Up with the Joneses. But I'll give her this with Keeping Up with the Joneses. Almost, except for John Hamm, almost everybody looked bad in Keeping Up with the Joneses. Isla Fisher is great, and even she looked bad. Zach Galifianakis is great, and he looked bad. John Hamm came across pretty good because he's John Hamm, but she didn't come across great in that. I mean, sorry, and just because now magically she's in a pretty good movie doesn't change that. I mean, there you go. However, whenever the issue of Gal Gadot comes up, I also want to make sure I throw this in. And you've heard me say this before, but there was also a long period of time that I thought the worst actor in Hollywood getting regular work was Channing Tatum. And he was dreadful. But over years and years and years, he dedicated himself, he trained, he got better and better and better and better. Now, today, I actually get really excited when Channing Tatum's in a movie. He's turned into a legit actor who can, like, turn in some really... Go watch Fox... I was going to call it Foxtrot. Damn it, what's the name of that movie with him? Hold on a second. Channing Tatum... Why am I forgetting the name? With Steve Carell. Foxcatcher. That's right. I didn't even have to finish typing in. Foxcatcher. Go watch Foxcatcher. You want to see how good of an actor he's turned into. And I don't see any reason why Gal Gadot can't do the same. I think it's totally possible that 4 years from now, 5 years from now, we could be talking about Gal Gadot going, she has really turned into a really solid, decent actress. I don't see there's any reason why that couldn't happen. And again, like I said, from all accounts, she's a super awesome person. She dedicates herself to becoming better than she is right now. But again, I used to think Channing Tatum was the worst in the business. And now I really like Channing Tatum. Don't see why that can't happen with Gal Gadot too. I really do. I really think that the same thing could happen with her. I just don't think she's there yet. So, and again, I just think a lot of people, not to make excuses for them having their own opinion, but I can't help but feel a little bit that a lot of people confuse the fact that it's a good movie. Therefore, if she's in it and the movie's good, therefore she must have been good. And I just don't think that's the case. Although she was much better than I thought she would be. But to say she's a Robert Downey Jr. or Hugh Jackman, dear God, no. But again, it's all subjective. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. Leandro Fonseca writes, lost bet to Bulma Vegeta. Thanks, Campia, best movie related channel on YouTube. I'm not quite sure what it is you're talking about, but thank you for the compliment anyway. Ali Hussein writes, you sitting in a cafeteria, Bruce Wayne and Steve Rogers comes to your table and asks if you would like to fight with them. Who would you choose? Now, when you say fight with them, do you mean get into a fight with them or to stand side by side with them in a fight? The person I would want to fight one-on-one the least is Batman. I don't want to fight Batman in a one-on-one fight. The one, if I had to go into a battle and stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody, I'd probably want Captain America. Because Captain America is also the leader, right? So, and I think he's more dynamic in group combat. And he could tell me what to do. He could tell me what to do probably a little bit better. So those are my two answers to those two, maybe if those are two different questions. All right, Corey Jimenez writes, do theaters have to sign up with studios to play movies at their theaters when films are about to be released, or do studios reach out to theaters? I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I can't make heads or tails of what you're talking about. Do theaters have to sign up with studios to play movies at their theaters when films are about to be released, or do studios reach out to theaters? Sorry, Corey, I cannot make heads or tails of what it is you're asking. Send me an email, try to word it a little bit better, and then maybe, because I'm not really clear at all what it is you're asking. Sorry about that, dude. Corey writes, favorite video editor programs for beginners. Honestly, I am a big fan of Premiere. Premiere is like poker. It's easy to learn. It takes forever to master. But you can pick up the basics to get you by in video editing in Adobe Premiere very quickly. It's very, very intuitive. It's basically drag and drop. But it's sophisticated enough that editors use it to make Hollywood feature films. So I would definitely say go with Premiere, because then you don't have to relearn a different program later. Because if you get kind of good, like you could use a Windows Movie Maker or an iMovie or something like that. But if you get pretty good, now you got to change programs. Again, I just start with Premiere. It works on PCs, works on Mac, whatever. I'd say just go with Premiere. Let's see. Eric DeRigi writes, you just got more respect from me as a New York Ranger fan seeing you wear a Maple Leafs jersey the other day. We got to share some love for Ty Domi, man. The great Ty Domi, one of the greatest pugilists in the history of hockey. He was one of the great enforcers, man. Not only was he a great enforcer, he later in his career, he actually became quite a skilled player too. And you could count on him to put up a few points and put in a few goals too. But he was a great charismatic guy. I remember we all loved Ty Domi, man. And you're right, we can share love with Ty Domi. All right, Loki the Scottish rapper, I love that name, says, what are the chances we may get an animated sequel to Batman Returns, much like the recent Adam West animated feature? It would be great to see Keaton/Burton back one more time. I doubt it. I wouldn't put much stock in that. Plus, I might be remembering this wrong, but I heard that recent Adam West one they didn't do well. So that even lowers the chances. I might not be remembering that right, but I'm almost positive I remember hearing that one didn't do well. So that even lessens the chances that something like that would happen. It's an interesting idea. I just don't see any studio actually putting real money into it to make it happen. And the final question today comes from Kirid17A1C writes, Hey John, Chewie and Leia hug at the end of The Last Jedi. Yes, they do. That was definitely a big callback thing to something, because at the end of Force Awakens, including me, everybody's like, "What? Why did Chewie not get a hug?" She just brushes Leia just brushes past Chewie and gives a big hug to this stranger Rey. And I get it; she felt a Force connection with her. I get that, but it's Chewie. And even J.J. Abrams, I remember talking about, he said, yeah, that was an oversight. We shouldn't have done that. So they made up for it in The Last Jedi, which was nice to see. All right, guys, that will do it for today's companion video. We are all caught up now. Thanks a lot for joining me, guys. My name is John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.